Welcome everybody, and this is your friendly neighbour web radio man, the one and only Mr. Fantastic Johnny Cantoni, and this is Web Radio Coast to Coast. We broadcast live events, information when to stay, shop, eat, see and do, breathing life back in the community with our walk and talk road trips, our QR code roadside project, our live variety update show, and also promoting our annual event, which is our Community Pathways Roadshow event, CPR, breathing life back in the community. Come join us. God bless your cotton socks. Thanks for tuning in. Listen to what we have to say. It's all about local. God bless you. Speak soon. All right. G'day everybody and welcome. This is Web Radio Coast to Coast, and we broadcast live events, information where to stay, shop, eat, see and do through our walk and talk road trips and everything else that you've heard. Now we have Graham Jolly on board with us at the moment, and also another special guest. Graham, how you going? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for allowing us to be on your show again today. It'll be an interesting little discussion with Trevor.
Yeah, certainly right. Now, we have Trevor Fothergill on board with us, and you may have recognised that there was some mention about Bill Wintle, flood victim, and that was just one of them. But Trevor represents a fair few, maybe, I think he'll correct me, but maybe up to 20 different households, including and possibly more. What we've found out is, or what we're about to find out is, Trevor's going to give us a bit of a summary about what's going on with council, permits, and Trevor, how are you? And let it rip, mate. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, good. Thanks, John, and happy to be with you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I think we have obviously flood issues over here at our owners corporation in San Remo. We're a little body corporate of 24 units, but we've been put at severe disadvantage by the development behind us on Panorama Avenue, which used to be the Creams property, if people are aware of that. I mean, Creams were here for probably 70, 80 years, so it's a landmark development here. The real crux of the matter is that the development at the back of us is not lawful, according to the research that I've done over the last couple of years, and I've had to do a lot of research. I've been having to fight every member or every area of bureaucracy who's supposed to look after the interests of people. But fundamentally, what this development goes against and what council go against is the High Court of Australia. Chief Justice in the High Court, Sir Owen Dixon, in 1977, found in his findings a power such as that in Section 25.1 of the Planning and Environment Act, which the Planning and Environment Act obviously is
it's a precedent set right now.
Authority or councils have got have certain powers, but a power such as in 25.1 of the Act does not authorise the making of regulations which vary or depart from the positive provisions of the Planning and Environment Act, or which go outside the field of operation which the Act marks out. Such a power does not support attempts to widen the purposes of the Act, to add new and different means of carrying them into effect, or to depart from or vary the plan which the legislature has adopted to obtain its ends. Now, Parliament make the laws, not Bass Coast Council.
You mean not applying their own standards?
They've got to apply the standards within the Planning and Environment Act.
But they have stated that they've decided to apply their own standards. Is that right? Sorry.
Well, they're not following the standards that are required. The planning scheme is a legal document set down by the state government.
That's the Bass Coast Planning Scheme set down by the planning minister of the state government, isn't it, Trevor?
That's exactly right.
And they're not. Hang on, Trevor. You're saying that they're not adhering to it. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. They're not adhering to it.
So these are the other segments that we're going to cover in the future, definitely, of those documents, the ruling of the VCAT number as well and all that sort of stuff? Do we go there yet?
For the last 16 years odd, VCAT decisions have been consistent in accordance with the High Court ruling that it is not possible to go beyond what the permit allows or step outside what the permit requires.
And, and allegedly you're saying that allegedly the council have done that? And you have proof of that, is that correct?
Absolutely, and we have proof of that.
This is massive.
But therefore, they're breaking the law, and they should be held to account.
I have charge and summons sheets right here if you'd like one.
Undoubtedly. I mean, the West Point decision in 2005, the Supreme Court in West Point Corporation versus Moreland City Council, and that was VCAT number 1049 of the 31st of May 2005, laid down a set of criteria basically to help people understand exactly what Sir Owen Dixon was saying. And that criteria has been carried forward since 2005 in every judgment VCAT has made since.
But you're saying except for this one? You're saying except for this one that Bass Coast has decided to go against. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Bass Coast might have they've thrown the rule book out the window. There are 20 other councils that publish on their websites, and probably more than 20, but they publish on their websites that what this council, Bass Coast Council, have done here with Panorama is not lawful. They publish it. They say it cannot be done.
So
you cannot apply secondary consent to overrule something that is in the permit if it's been put in there by VCAT.
So in summary, and these are these things that we must cover because you've got to document the people. He has the documentation. There are thousands of dollars spent here of amazing advocates like Graham Jolly, and Trevor is proving to be an amazing update. I need to let people know exactly. We've got some video that we'll show a bit later, but we do need to break into, in summary, how many areas or what, in summary, have they done that's so illegal? I know we're talking about over and over, but I'm really trying to make this as basic and as average Joe as possible because everybody needs to understand this. This is a standard that goes across the board with everything when you think about it. So what are the things that absolutely are well, if not infuriating, but it is deemed to be illegal, and some examples maybe of what you've found through your studies, drainage and things like that. Because there's a lot to talk about, so I just want to kind of summarise this so people know that in future we're going to cover these things and we'll let them know on how we do that.
Well, there's a multitude of things that they've broken the law with in the back. Notably acting without power. So consequently, the development over there really is not valid in terms of being a legitimate development based upon. I mean, you can argue the point. The thing has gone through now. The titles have been registered, so there's limited things you can do about that. I mean...
but when winter comes and that rain runs, all those people who've got those titles may find themselves in a situation that usually would hopefully be a 100-year flood, but it's going to be a 10-year flood. And some of these, there's issues about drainage and stuff and which way it's running as well. Is that correct?
That's right. I mean, the land was filled and the drain pits that were installed on the allotment for to drain water simply are dysfunctional. They cannot drain water because they're set 30 to 50 centimetres higher than the lowest corner of the lot.
And you've got plans to show that.
When water collects at the lowest corner of the lot, council expects it to run uphill into the drain pit to drain it.
Oh, hang on. Can we talk about this experience? When you asked about getting the plans and the CEO said yes, but they're going to cost you so much per plan. Can you? We'll go into that a bit later, but that was an amazing story, the amazing update you gave me the other day. Is that possible to go there or not yet?
Yeah, we can go there. I mean, I've got an email from her that said she was happy to supply the plans, but each plan would cost $64.80.
And how many plans were there involved?
There are somewhat well, there's a number of plans. There's 5 plans in 2013 because they constitute engineering plans, drainage plans, functional layout plans, and all of those for a development constitute somewhere between 26 and 40 pages of plans. So she was going to let me have them, but it was going to cost $64.80 per plan.
But there your plan.
Comparing those, you've got the 2013 plans, the 2015 plans, and the 2018. You've got the mid-construction plans of 2019, and the final plans of 2021.
Why isn't that available free to the public anyway?
Adding all that up, it was going to cost me probably over $10,000 just to get the plans.
Yeah, Trevor, but surely all of those plans would have been submitted by law into VCAT prior to the ruling of the VCAT hearing person.
Well,
yes. Yeah, that makes no difference to council. They want $64.80 each for the plans. So
can't you get those plans through the determination of VCAT?
Well, because I took action through VCAT, I subpoenaed the council and I got all the plans.
Oh,
They had to supply them under VCAT subpoena.
I was going to say, if you had to pay for that, I believe that you should have been reimbursed. That all should be available to the public anyway if they want to investigate.
Yeah.
But this council have, at nearly every turn, I won't say all because there is one person at council who I believe did the right thing, and in terms of integrity...
Don't mention that person's name. Don't you dare mention that person will be could be, you know, don't you dare mention that legendary person's name. Protect them, whatever you can do when you think about it.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not mentioning names.
Sorry about that.
No names, no pack drill as far as that was concerned. But nearly everybody else went out of their way to misdirect, misrepresent, and basically cloud and cover up what was going on in an attempt to just stonewall the whole operation. And that's been a centrepiece of the feedback or the reaction I've had from council towards getting to the bottom of what needs to be done out there. I mean, the drains cannot drain water. They cannot drain the stormwater flows because they're set in the ground too high. The ground was filled.
That's why you've been flooded, even before it's been finished. Bill Wintles 3 times.
The developer filled the land with, I mean, in some places it's 3 to 5 metres that would fill in. But the filling has diverted water flows from the original path. Now, I mean, that breaches council's own policy. There is a policy on Bass Coast's website, stormwater and drainage. Anybody can go and read it, that says water, when you develop land, water must not be diverted onto nearby or adjoining properties.
Correct.
And that's what's happening to yours, and that's what's happening.
Can I just
go is just ridiculous.
Go back to the when you were going through the process to go to VCAT, and you had to get independent assessments done of the site up there. Tell us a little bit about that, Trevor.
Yeah, well, you have to get expert evidence to go to VCAT, or they basically laugh you out of the place.
Yeah, so who was the evidence from?
The evidence...
I
went to...
And what did the evidence say?
I went to the surveyors, Beveridge Williams. Now, Beveridge Williams are a national company. They have a branch in Wonthaggi, and I also found out that they're the go-to company for Western Port water. So if Western Port Water want anything done, they go to Beveridge Williams because it's they know they get an honest job. And when I got the guy down to do the survey, he arrived on site and we were there for about 5 minutes, and he was doing just a visual survey without taking any measurements or anything like that. But his overall opinion, that he said to me after 5 minutes only, he said, nowhere else in Australia would we be allowed to build a development such as this. Now, that was a first impression. So there must have been multitudes wrong with the place.
Please, just give me a second. Give me a second. Trevor.
For an experienced guy to, to say that.
Can you repeat that and repeat the person's name or repeat the business and where it came from again? Because that's really important. Please just repeat that whole statement.
Well, the Beveridge Williams surveyor.
Thank you.
And he said to me, nowhere else in Australia would we be allowed to build a development such as this. That was talking about the Panorama development.
In San Remo.
Here in San Remo, yes. Now, they went on to do the survey, and they found a multitude of things that were different on stage 2, and this development was done as stage 1 and stage 2. Now, stage 2 affects us, so I only had stage 2 surveyed, and that cost $17,000.
Oh my God!
So that was the.
That should be reimbursed. You should be. Gosh, I can't believe one person has spent $17,000.
You have to get the expert evidence, and in the evidence, that was not only the survey, but it was also we had a water engineer do the full interpretation of the before, the during, and the after construction. So there were 3 phases of where the water went and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, who was that engineer?
His name was Aaron Manjikian.
Yeah, but what company, Trevor?
Beveridge Williams. It was Beveridge Williams.
Right.
Beveridge Williams water engineer. He's got 15 years experience doing these sorts of things. But in a very detailed analysis that I've had, and he identified that Phil had changed the water courses, the natural flow water courses, which, according to Council's website, in their policy, is not acceptable and is a bylaw that they've been happy to just overlook in terms of, there's one rule for us and one rule for you lot. You're only the proletariat. But his surveys identified that we have breaches of Infrastructure Design Rule 16. There are breaches of the Victorian Planning Authority regulations in terms of building roads and where those roads are. We have unprotected driveways that allow stormwater to run off roads and right through blocks from front to back. I mean, that's breach of ID 16. And there's supposed to be a drain at the back of the lot, at the lowest corner of the lot. Well, these drains are set 30 to 50 centimetres higher than the surrounding land and than the lowest corner of the lot. So obviously those drains are dysfunctional.
Yeah. So all of that detail went into the VCAT hearing for the ruling.
No, it didn't. Let me tell you a story. That was done in June 20, and we had an action against VCAT, right? An action against the developer at VCAT. In July 2020, the council decided, in its infinite wisdom, to bring forward the certification of the subdivision. It was certified complete. When it wasn't complete, no landscaping had even commenced in some areas.
Geez, that sounds like the essential. That sounds like the Cowes Cultural Centre there, Graham, 80% complete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they certified it complete when it wasn't, which allowed titling to take effect. Now, as soon as titling took effect, our claim at VCAT against the developer for the Panorama subdivision became null and void. We couldn't take it any further. And council was predominantly responsible for doing that. They knew there was an action at VCAT, but that action was subverted by the court by actually authorising the certificate of compliance, because with that the developers go and register the titles. So our complaint against the whole of the development was no more. I mean, if I can explain it in this way, it was like the worm turned into a multitude of butterflies. And you took action against the worm, but when it transformed into 95 unit site butterflies, they're different. So we would have had to have started the whole process once again, start over, but we would have had to have taken 95 actions instead of one.
Look, we've got about. I want to wrap this up in about 9 minutes or so. But the reason why I say that is there is a bit to wrap up there. But also, I guess one of the things that you're mentioning is the people that have brought the land there have been deceived by council decision, and could find themselves. I mean, imagine if we have a rain event down here in San Remo. I mean, I don't know if we've ever had one. I'm assuming we have. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about the residents, and those residents need to jump up.
Yeah, well, we had 3 severe rainstorm events that council immediately blandly labelled them as, I mean, when I first rang up to complain about the flooding, the receptionist, first thing she said is, oh, well, it was a 1 in 100 year event, so bad luck.
And she'd know that, would she?
Oh, well, I mean, there's the receptionist making decisions.
Yeah, they haven't got the authority to do that.
Hang on. And the drainage is only set up for, I think you were telling me, for only a 10-year event now. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, I looked it up further. It's a 5-year. The bio-cell down there is constructed to cater for a 1 in 5 year event.
We have a bio-cell update to do. We have a drainage update to do. We have a planning update to do. We have a permit update to do regarding Bass Coast Shire Council stating something like, well, we're adopting our own standards, which they can't do. This is one of the whole points of it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Exactly. According to law, they can't do that.
But
yeah,
they
correct.
just did.
They have no power to do that.
They seem to do that a lot by the looks of things. There's many other examples, unfortunately. And what I love, what's happening here is trying to keep the integrity of the council's position and its behaviour. It's not about the people. So I apologise if people think we're ostracising individuals, but it's actually more so it is up to us to keep that position with the respect it's duly deserves.
I'd summarise that as there is an endemic culture at Bass Coast Council that they believe they can do what they like, that their powers are limitless, and at law that is not true.
It's a very powerful statement.
Trevor, for the listeners' benefit, the law is when VCAT rules, it becomes law. Tell everybody what the number, so that other people can go and look at, to do with the VCAT ruling. What's that number, so that people go and look up in their own time?
Well, the ruling for the issue, and Deputy President Mark Dwyer in Cook versus Mornington Peninsula Shire Council, it's VCAT 1129 on the 1st of August 2017. He made these rulings on, and I quote, the issue of interpretation or application of law regarding amendment to permit plans, the consideration of the 3rd and 4th West Point criteria, and he made his declaration based on ultra-virus. Now, ultra-virus is acting without power.
Right, and the second VCAT ruling you're talking about at the other council?
The other council was West Point Corporation versus Moreland City Council. That was VCAT 1049 of the 31st of May 2005.
Righto. Yeah.
Now, that has commentary in that which refers to Chief High Court Justice Sir Owen Dixon's rulings in 1977.
Righto, and then leading into your particular VCAT ruling number?
Well, VCAT issued the permit, so I suppose that was if you like, they put clauses or conditions into the permit that required or that were required for the purposes of the Act, and that permit number is Bass Coast Council permit 140355-1.
To say that again,
355-1.
Right.
Now, it was amended 4 times. The last amendment being on the 17th of May 2018. And the functional layout plans for the development were endorsed by Bass Coast Council on the 31st of May 2018. So to all those people out there who say there was another permit, there was only 14 days difference between the last amendment VCAT issued for the permit and 14 days later Bass Coast Council endorsed the functional layout plan. So do you think anybody in their right mind is going to really believe that the whole permit process for a new permit took place in 14 days?
Well said.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't happen. And this is what Council is telling Councillor Bruce Kent, that, there was another permit, according to Bruce Kent. That's what Bruce Kent's saying. Now, surely anybody with common sense knows that a permit cannot be started, processed, or issued, processed, go right through the whole process system, have people look at it, take objections, and get approved, all within 14 days, for the council to actually endorse the functional layout plan?
Well said. We have 60 seconds to wrap this up. Trevor and Graham, I appreciate you joining us. Trevor, I can't wait. Don't get off the phone, because we're going to have to do a follow-up and talk about what we're actually going to be covering, because there is a lot more to break into this. So I thank you very much. And Graham, if there's anything you'd like to say to wrap up, and yourself, Trevor, let's do that, and we'll finish off with this segment. Thanks very much, everybody.
Yeah, Johnny, it's important for like Trevor said, the VCAT permit number 140355-1. People should go and have a look at that, and also go look at the other permit numbers that Trevor told everybody when he was having his discussion there a little bit earlier on, because those three are all linked into one another. It's quite obvious in having our little conversation. The council is breaking the law, and they need to be held account.
Yeah, well, I think the people they will appreciate the breaches once it's spelled out. We haven't got time to go into the actual breaches here today. But once we have the nitty-gritty of those breaches, and people can refer back to those to the respective clauses in the permit, they're going to see that we have a a council that doesn't obey the law.
An amazing
Now,
case to take
I
on.
think that's shocking for the community as a whole. I mean, what does that say to our younger generations coming up?
That's right.
That
Not good.
we have people in authority who can just break the law at will and get away with it, and steamroll us and stonewall us, and this is how they think that a responsible and ethical community runs.
Well, I think what they don't also realise is we do have great advocates, and then we have people like myself that can get that information out there as well as we can. I really want you to take on the Web Radio Coast to Coast as a representative of this type of information, because we are about where the Stay Shop beats see and do, and good stories and concerns, our live variety updates, and our Community Pathways Roadshow, breathing life back into the community, and what you're doing with the information that yourself and Graham Jolly with Ratepayers Association, both you're a member of Ratepayers Association also, so it breathes life in the community because it educates people of what's going on, and you're both of appropriate people and doing this appropriately. So thanks very much for your time and your effort and the money and the and everything else that you've spent in getting this information out there, and we'll certainly do our best to help educate the council and to improve their production and productivity and waste and everything else and accountability. So thank you very much, Graham Jolly, and thank you very much, Trevor Fossil. Thank you. People.
Thanks, John.
No worries.
Thanks, John.
No worries. Keep smiling, stay kind, be good to each other. It changes the world. God bless you all. See you later.